बोला क्या है? ये बच्चे ने छोड़े
ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها الباقر يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله يا أبا عبد الله يا جعفر بن محمد أيها الصادق يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا الحسن يا موسى بن جعفر أيها الكاظم يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن موسى أيها الرضا يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله. يا أبا جعفر يا محمد بن علي أيها التقي الجواد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا أبا الحسن يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النقي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله. يا أبا محمد يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها يا وصي الحسن والخلف الحجة أيها القائم المنتظر المهدي يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله يا وجيها يا سادتي وموالي إني توجهت بكم أئمتي وعدتي ليوم فغري وحاجتي إلى الله وتوسلت بكم إلى الله واستشفعت بكم إلى الله فاشفعوا لي عند الله واستنقذوني من ذنوبي عند الله، فإنكم وسيلتي إلى الله، وبحبكم وبقربكم أرجو نجاة من الله، فكونوا عند الله رجائي يا سادتي يا أولياء الله. صلى الله عليهم أجمعين، ولعن الله أعداء الله ظالميهم من الأولين والآخرين، آمين رب العالمين.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. 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 Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Nare Haydari. Nare Haydari. Nare Haydari. Nare Haydari. Mubarak to all of you on this great day of Eid. Eid Mubarak to all of you. Once again, we are blessed to be here together to celebrate this great day as a community, and to come together, all of us, all different language, all different cultures and backgrounds, to celebrate Imam Ali alayhi salam on his day of birth. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We will inshallah begin with poetry in Farsi. So please help me invite up Brother Hissam Kermani with your loudest of salawat. Allah, Allah, salawat, Allah, salawat, Allah, salawat, Allah, salawat.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أبا الحسن يا أمير المؤمنين يا علي بن أبي طالب يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا عند الله. کعب امشب در تو مرآت هو الله آمده آفتاب طلعت محبوب با ما آمده روح شو سر تا قدم آغوش جان را باز کن خانه زینت کن که صاحب خانه از راه آمده با تمام رکنهایت ذکر یا حیدر بگو. صبح امیدت در آغوش سحرگاه آمده، خشت خشت کعبه را آید به گوش این زمزمه. مادر جان محمد ادخلی یا فاطمه. الله الله ای حرم امشب تماشایی شدی، بود قطرت گم ولی امشب شناسایی شدی. با امیر المؤمنین از انبیا و اولیا، دل رو بودی همچنان گرم دلارایی شدی. نور زهرا ریخته از عرش اعلا بر سرت، پای تا سر غرق در انوار زهرایی شدی. فاطمه روشنگر اهل یقین آورده ای، مرحبا با خود امیر المؤمنین آورده ای. ای حرم مرآت رب العالمین است این پسر، جان احمد روح قرآن رکن دین است این پسر. ظاهراً یک کودک نوزاد میبینی ورا، در حقیقت مرشد روح الامین است این پسر. مؤمنین از چار سو دور حرم گردید جمع، ای همه مؤمن امیر المؤمنین است این پسر. دیده روشن ای حجر ای هجر ای رکن ای مقام، یک صدا با همدگر گویید یا حیدر سلام. می رود امشب به بام آسمان نور از حرم، با گل لبخند روی جای گل هور از حرم. کوههای مکه بگرفتند ذکر یا علی، در زمین برخاسته تا آسمان شور از حرم. تا خدا از میهمان خود پذیرایی کند، تا خدا از میهمان خود پذیرایی کند. ای همه اهل حرم دور از حرم دور از حرم، کعبه میگوید که دور کعبه را خلوت کنید. حلقه حلقه با هم از مولا علی صحبت کنید. سنگ های مشعر امشب ذکرشان یا حیدر است، هم صفا هم مروه امشب سعیشان یا حیدر است. چار رکن کعبه افتادن بر پای علی، در درون بیت حتی ذکر بت‌های حیدر است. نقش بسته روی هر سنگ حرم با خط نور، میهمان ذات پاک حق تعالی حیدر است. خالق دادار خلوت کرده امشب با علی، یا علی یا علی یا علی یا علی. صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Okay, so we can clap with this one then. Ali Waliullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Asadullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Asadullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Asadullah, Ali Ainullah, Ali Sirrullah, Ali Nurullah, Ali Shamsullah, Ali Wajhullah, Ali Sayfullah, Ali Udhunullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Asadullah, Ali Waliullah, Ali Asadullah, Ali Waliullah. قسم به آبروی علی، قسم به ابروی علی، به تارگی سوی علی، که سمت و سوی دل من نرفته جز سوی علی. قسم به تمار علی، به اسم کرار علی، سرم نرفته به خدا به جز سر دار علی. ای دل من علی علی، حاصل من علی علی، وقت بلا کلید هر مشکل من علی علی. علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی خود طوفان، علی تیغ بران، علی شیر یزدان، علی یل میدان. قسم به تمثال علی، به تیغ قتال علی، موقع رزمش به خدا سوره زلزال علی. میگن که غوغا میرسه، آخر دنیا میرسه، وقتی که با تیغ دو سرزد مولا میرسه. بی مددن علی مدن، گرچه بدن علی مدن، بعد ممات ذکر منه، در لحدم علی مدن. علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی جبروتو، علی ملکوتم، علی جبروتو، علی ملکوتم، زیارت مولا دعای قنوتم. علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی الله، علی اسدالله، علی ولی. صلی علی محمد و آل محمد.
Ahsan, thank you, Brother Hissam. Can we another loud salawat for Brother Hissam, please? Allahumma, Allah. Inshallah, next I would like to invite up Brother Jawad Al-Mamuri for poetry in Arabic. Please invite him up with your loudest of salawat. Loudest of salawat.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. نزف أجمل آيات التهاني والتبريكات لإمامنا صاحب العصر والزمان عجل الله فرجه الشريف وإلى مراجعنا الكرام، وإلى أخوتنا المؤمنين والمؤمنات، وإلى شيعة أمير المؤمنين بهذه الولادة العطرة، ذكرى ولادة يعسوب الدين وسيد الوصيين أخي رسول الله الإمام علي بن أبي طالب عليه السلام، صلوات. I'm sorry and I apologize for the brother or sister who cannot understand Arabic, but inshallah, just for musharaka in Arabic. حجة الله للبرايا علي. يا علي المقام فخرك بادي، والورى شهد ورب العباد. يا وليد البيت العتيق مكانا، لم يزل ذكره حديث المداد. كبر الركن والمقام ابتهاجا، بوليد أتى بخير المهاد. كعبة الله يوم ذات استنارت، واستطابت بطاهر سجاد. وهو نفس الأمين طه عليا، خصه الله بالنهى والسداد. واجتباه الهدى البشير وزيرا، وهو غض مؤهل للرياد. سنة الله في البرايا لزام، إن هذا الوليد رمز الرشاد. من تولاه أدرك الفتح حتما، من تحاشاه ظل نهج الوداد. سيد المتقين نبل عميم، وحليف الفدا بكل اجتهاد. وأخو أحمد بيوم التآخي، وبليغ البيان في كل وادي. وقرين البتول زهراء طه، وأمير الغدير يوم السناد. أسند الله للوصي مقاما، بإشماع الرسول والأشهاد. يوم نادى محمد وهو نور، وعلي بدا بجنب الهادي. أطرق الجمع للأمين سماعا، فرسول الإله نعم المنادي. ذا علي له الولاية بعدي، وبه الحق يقتدي بإنشادي. وأبو الأوصياء حسن البرايا، ومبير العدا وأهل العناد. رب وال وليه باصطبار، رب عاد عدوه المتمادي. أرهقتني الحروف أعييت ثناء، في جناب يفيض بالأمجاد. فلعمر الوصي أني جريء، بامتداح يكل فيه اجتهادي. حجة الله للبرايا علي، وصريح الوفاء يوم المعاد. وشفيع المستمسكين بصبر، إذ عتى ظالم وجار معادي. إخوتي في الولاء هبوا كراما، وبيوم الوليد شدوا الأيادي. ذا علي إمام عدل تجلى، كل حق به بفخر امتدادي. فسلام على علي وليدا، وهماما مجاهدا للأعداء. وسلام على علي إماما، ووصيا لم يغيه قط عادي. وسلام على علي شهيدا، في خشوع السجود والأوراد. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. For sure, I don't forget for and Brother Mehdi will do it for me.
Ahsan, thank you, Brother Jawad. Please another loud salawat to Brother Jawad. Allahumma. Inshallah, our next reciter is a poetry in Urdu. Please help me invite up Brother Salman Naqvi with your loudest of salawat.
पर मोहम्मद व आले मोहम्मद सलावत। आज खानाए हक में बूतुराब आते हैं। आज खानाए हक में बूतुराब आते हैं। खुश हैं इंसो जिन्नो मलक, اور ترانے گاتے ہیں آج خانہ حق میں بو تراب آتے ہیں مظہر العجائب کا ہے ظہور دنیا میں مظہر العجائب کا ہے ظہور دنیا میں جو خدائی اور خدا سب کے کام آتے ہیں آج خانہ حق میں بو تراب آتے ہیں جان مرتضیٰ سے کیا جان مرتضیٰ سے نبی کر رہے ہیں کیا باتیں جان مرتضیٰ سے نبی کر رہے ہیں کیا باتیں کھولتے نہیں آنکھیں اور مسکراتے ہیں کھولتے نہیں آنکھیں اور مسکراتے ہیں آج خانہ حق میں بو تراب آتے ہیں ذوالعشیرہ و ہجرت یا غدیر و خیبر ہوں ذوالعشیرہ و ہجرت یا غدیر و خیبر ہوں ہر جگہ علی کو نبی جانشیں بناتے ہیں ہر جگہ علی کو نبی جانشیں بناتے ہیں آج خانہ حق میں بو تراب آتے ہیں حکم رب سے سرور نے دے دیا رجل کو علم حکم رب سے سرور نے دے دیا رجل کو علم جو رجل نہیں وہ کیوں پیچ و تاب کھاتے ہیں آج خانہ حق میں بو تراب آتے ہیں خوش ہیں انس و جن و ملک اور ترانے گاتے ہیں صلوات
Thank you, Brother Salman, for that beautiful recitation. Please another loud salawat. Allah. Our last reciter, but definitely not least, is Brother Mehdi Flati for English poetry. Please invite him up with your loudest of salawats.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. عيد مبارك إن شاء الله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعجل فرجهم يا علي 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 يا علي. As you enter towards the shrine of Imam Ali alayhi salam, you go through Najaf, and when you lay your eyes on the golden dome and the golden balcony of the shrine of Imam Ali alayhi salam, you can't help to stop the tears, because you truly are in the presence of your father, the father of the ummah, the father of the Shia, of the mu'mineen. And truly, with having a father such as Imam Ali alayhi salam, no one shall feel like an orphan, inshallah. The breeze of blessings and the light of love has arrived. With peace from heaven, Allah has sent us our guide. The ground beneath the evil has shaken. The hearts of lovers will now awaken. Go tell the doors of the biggest Khaybar, it is the birth of my Mawla Haydar. Go tell the doors of the biggest Khaybar, it is the birth of my Mawla Haydar. For us, no one else can take your place. You are the supreme, Ya Ali. From the heavens you descended as a flawless light beam. Your progeny is a flowing pure stream. Your shrine is our dream. Your shrine is our dream. Ali, 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 Mawla. 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 Everyone. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, 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 Ali. Jana. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, 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 Ali. Again together. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, 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 Mawla. MashaAllah. Ali, 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 Mawla. Recite salawat for our dear Sheikh Salim, inshallah. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad wa ajal. The stars above rejoice and praise this gift of Allah. Every grain of sand sings the praise of Murtada. The land, the water, the dust, the fire. Only my master they do desire. Does dhikr of angels, Allahu Akbar. It is the birth of my Mawla Haidar. Together, my Mawla. One more time, my Mawla. Under your noble shade there is never any darkness. You are the commander and leader of all the righteous. By your side we swear we'll stay regardless. Eternal is your brightness. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, Ali. MashaAllah. Ali, 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 Mawla. 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 We call upon you, surrounded, my Mawla Ali. With illness and storms around us, help us be free. In this world you are the loving helper. You are our aid, our dearest Father, and after you will be there at Kawthar. It is the birth of my Mawla Haidar. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, 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 Mawla. Everyone, Ali, 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 Ali. MashaAllah. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali. Ali, Ali, Mawla. MashaAllah. Ali, 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 Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali. MashaAllah. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Love of Ali is a blessing Allah's given me. Say Ya Ali. Love of Ali is a blessing Allah's given me. Ya Ali. Love of Ali is a blessing Allah's given me. From my heart to my soul, Ali completely. Ya Ali. From my heart to my soul, Ali completely. He is the humble given at night so secretly. Ya Ali. He is the humble given at night so secretly. He is the generous who gives charity freely. Ya Ali. He is the generous who gives charity freely. He is the pure one serving Allah sincerely. Ya Ali. He is the pure one serving Allah sincerely. He's the commander of the faithful Shi'i. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali. MashaAllah. Ali, Ali, Mawla. Mawla Ali. Master in battle. Last one. Master in battle, you are Haidar Karra. Not a Haidari. Not a Haidari. Master in battle, you are Haidar Karra. Bravest of men, you were the lion of Allah. Constant support to our beloved Rasulullah. You stood up and proclaimed La ilaha illallah. Is there a fairer leader to follow, Ya Allah? Is there a fairer leader to follow, Ya Allah? We are the Shias of Ali, Subhanallah. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali. Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ali, Ali, Mawla, Ya Ali. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Ahsan, mashallah. Nara Haydari! MashaAllah. Thank you to all the reciters. Beautiful recitation. Inshallah, next I would like to invite up our speaker for tonight, Sheikh Salim Yusufali, with your loudest of salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وخاتم النبيين وسيد المرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. Respected brothers and sisters, we've gathered here to celebrate the great occasion of the birthday of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. According to historical reports, what happened on the previous night was something that never happened in history before and will never happen again. A very pious lady by the name of Fatima bint Asad was busy remembering Allah in the last days of her pregnancy. And she says that, let me go to the house of Allah and make special dua. And when she gets there, she begins her munajat. She says, in paraphrase, "O Allah, O my Lord, you know that I am a believer in all of your prophets and in the books that they brought. And I am one who believes in my forefather Ibrahim alayhi salam, and what he brought. And I swear to you by this house," meaning the Kaaba, "and the one who built it, O Allah, make the delivery easy for me." We can see that the pious always are remembering Allah, especially at the times of need. Things like childbirth are times of great need and turning to Allah. She makes her dua, and in response, the Kaaba opens and she enters. The town is talking, "What happened here? This is a miracle." And they're waiting to see what the result of it will be. When she comes out, later she tells people what happened. One of the things she says is that, "I heard a voice when I was ready to leave and I had delivered the baby. I heard a voice calling out to me, 'Ya Fatima, sammihi Aliya.' O Fatima, name him Ali, fahuwa Aliyun, wallahu al-Aliyul A'la," because he is Ali, he is high, he is elevated, he is lofty, and Allah is the highest of the high. يقول إني شققت اسمه من اسمي. He says that I derived his name from my name, and I will train him with my own training, and I will give him knowledge of secrets of my knowledge, and he will be the one who breaks the idols, and he will be the one who calls out the adhan from above my house, and he will be the one who glorifies me, and he is the one who will praise me. فَطُوبَى لِمَنْ أَحَبَّهُ وَوَيْلٌ لِمَنْ أَبْغَضَهُ وَعَصَاهُ. And good tidings be to the one who loves him, and woe be to the one who has hatred towards him and who disobeys him. You can see, brothers and sisters, that in the very first description of the fada'il of Imam Ali alayhi salam, it comes from a hadith al-Qudsi, from the words of Allah himself. And if we want to look at one of the outstanding features of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, we can see that Allah is pointing out some of the acts that he will do. He will break the idols. He will make the adhan from my house. One of the qualities of Imam Ali alayhi salam is the shaja'a, the courage that he showed in every aspect in his life. Tonight, I'd like to see if I can mention a few stories about the courage of Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the hope that we can be inspired. We're here to, inshallah, strengthen the love that we have for Ali. In hadith we're told, hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, حب علي يأكل السيئات كما يأكل النار الحطب. It says that the love of Ali eats away at one's sins and one's bad deeds the way that fire eats away at wood. This is the opportunity that we have when we come to these gatherings, to have that love, which inshallah is there, burn stronger. And inshallah this love will be something that will be a safeguard against the fire of hell in the hereafter. The shaja'a of Imam Ali alayhi salam, his bravery, is something which is more than somebody who was gifted on a physical level. We know that Imam Ali alayhi salam was extremely agile. He was very strong. But we also know that those individuals who have a special connection with Allah and they understand their self-worth, Allah gifts them with a type of courage which stems from inside. In hadith, the Prophet tells Sayyidah Fatima alayhi salam that among all people, Imam Ali alayhi salam is the one who has the strongest and the most courageous of hearts. His heart is courageous. We see that Imam Ali alayhi salam, when he writes a letter of advice to his son, he tells his son, "Akrim nafsaka an kulli daniya, wa in saqatka wa in." He says that honor yourself above any type of pollution. Don't do anything to dirty your soul. And even if your low desires push you in a way which is going to tarnish your soul, then always have honor of yourself. Imam Ali alayhi salam was somebody who always taught this concept of dignity. If you see yourself who you are, if you value yourself as a human being, then you would never do anything that would be below your dignity. And he himself was somebody who acted according to this. In every way, Imam Ali alayhi salam, because of his understanding his position with Allah and having that connection with him, he was somebody who demonstrated a type of courage which was just fabulous. I want to give a few examples of that. Let me take you to the Battle of Badr. We all know that Imam Ali alayhi salam is responsible in many battles for 50% or more of the casualties on the enemy side. We know that his sword was unmatchable. We know that his war abilities were something that were unmatched. But Imam Ali alayhi salam was brave and courageous in different ways. They say that in the night before the Battle of Badr, our Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he turns to his army and he says, "Which among you will go and get some water for us?" It's very interesting. The enemy had camped near the well. There was one well. And the Muslims were away from the well. It was a very cold night. It was a very windy night. And there was a lot of, people were not very motivated to get up in the night and to go and get water. They were scared of their lives because the well was near the enemy as well. The only person who stands up among the Muslims is Imam Ali alayhi salam, and he says that I will go and fetch the water. So history says that Imam Ali alayhi salam, in the darkness of the night, under the, given the threat that's there of the enemies, he makes his way to the well. And when he gets there, he sees that there is no pail that goes down to get the water from inside the well. Normally you would be able to take that and get the water. Now he has a mission from the Prophet. He has to get the water. So he takes his water skin, and they say that he goes down deep into the well and he goes and gets the water himself. And he pulls out the water. Now, again, all this is happening in the cold night, and he makes his way back to the camps of the Muslims. Now, it takes him some time to complete this very difficult operation that's going on here. But he comes back successfully. He's done the mission. And our Prophet asks him, of course he knows the answer to his question, but he asks him, "Ya Ali, why is it that it took you some time? Alhamdulillah, you brought the water, we're happy for that, but why is it that it took you some time to come back with this water?" He says, "Ya Rasulullah, it's a windy night, and this is what happened." He said, first of all, there was no pail, no bucket for me to be able to get the water. So I had to go and get the water myself. That took time. And when I was walking back towards the camp, there was a strong, push of wind, a strong gale of wind, and I fell down. I was pushed down to the ground. It took me a while. I stood up again, and I started making my way back to the camp. Once again, there was a strong wind that pushed me down to the ground, and I had to go down to the ground again. And a third time, the same thing happened. Then finally, after the wind subsided, that's when I was able to make it back to the camp, and this is why it took me this much time. So our Prophet says to Imam Ali, he says, do you know what those winds were? He says the first wind was the wind that was generated because of Jibreel alayhi salam. Jibreel, along with 1,000 angels, had come to say salam to you, and that wind represented their visitation. The second wind that came was the angel Mikael. Mikael, the angel, came with 1,000 angels, and each one of them came to say their salam to you, and that wind represented their visitation. And after Jibreel came, and after Mikael came, then Israfil, the angel, also wanted to visit you as well. So he came with 1,000 angels to accompany him. And the third wind, that gust of wind that came and knocked you down, that was the wind of the angel Israfil. Now, brothers and sisters, if we look into this story a little bit deeper, why is it that Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam is doing a mission for the sake of God? Why is it that along the way he's facing these challenges? Why is it that he's being pushed down to the ground? One of the scholars says that Imam Ali alayhi salam's resolve, his istiqamah, his perseverance was being tested as well. It's one thing to have the courage to accept a mission to go in the darkness of the night close to the enemy camps, and then to go diving into the deep well to get water. It's another thing to be able to persevere after you completed that mission. And this was what Imam Ali was able to show even before the battle of Badr, let alone what happened in the battle. That he was a person whose courage was from inside. And it was something that gave him perseverance. Time after time, incident after incident, Imam Ali was able to show that he was there where he had to be. Imam Ali in battle was someone who lived up to this, what he himself says. In Nahj al-Balagha, he says that the muttaqeen, one of the qualities of the muttaqeen, عَظُمَ الْخَالِقُ فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ وَصَغُرَ مَا دُونَهُمْ فِي أَعْيُنِهِمْ. The Creator is very great in their eyes, very magnificent. And everything else is insignificant in their hearts. So the Creator is very significant in their hearts. Everything else is insignificant in their eyes. People who have taqwa, they sense the greatness of Allah. And that gives them a way of being able to view the things other than Allah in a different perspective. And if we see Imam Ali alayhi salam in battle, the way he was somebody who was always busy doing the dhikr of Allah. They say that he would be heard saying, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah, and then one strike, another strike. There was one time where the people were talking, some rumors against Imam Ali alayhi salam, because of the politics that happened. This was during the time of the Khilafah of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And they go to settle this, right? They go to Hudhayfa ibn al-Yaman. Hudhayfa was one of the great companions of our Prophet. He was considered a wise person, somebody who had seen it all. So they go to Hudhayfa and they say to Hudhayfa that, we hear these things about Imam Ali alayhi salam, and we didn't see these things from him. We weren't there at that time. Right? So tell us, is this exaggeration? Are people just telling these sort of fables? Or is it really true? Is it all true that what they say about Imam Ali alayhi salam? So Hudhayfa, he of course is one of the devout supporters of Imam Ali alayhi salam to the end, right? To the very end. And Hudhayfa says that, okay, well, I will narrate to you just one hadith, and that should be able to answer this doubt that you have in your mind here. He says, what if I were to tell you that if you were to take all the deeds of every single member of the ummah of the Prophet, and you were to put them on one side of a scale, and you were to put one deed of Imam Ali alayhi salam on the other side of the scale, that deed would outweigh the merit of all the other deeds. They say that, no, that's not something that we can accept. It seems like you're exaggerating here, right? This doesn't make sense to us. So then he tells them that how many of you were, and I'm paraphrasing, how many of you were present in the battle of Khandaq? And they said, we weren't there. You tell us. So he says that I was there and I witness that when Amr ibn Abd Wud, that when he crossed over and he challenged the Muslims to battle, all the Muslims were filled with terror. None of them had the courage. There was only one person who stood up and said that I will take him. And based on the act of Imam Ali alayhi salam and his sacrifice and his courage, I heard this from the Prophet himself, who said that one action of Imam Ali alayhi salam, it is equivalent or is afdal, it is more than the wazn, the weight of all the actions of the ummah. This is because of the courage of Imam Ali alayhi salam. They say that in battle, you know, there were some people who came to Imam Ali alayhi salam once and they said that, tell us that, what should we do? Let's make a strategy. You know, sometimes in battle what happens is the enemy comes and they come and attack the ranks and our ranks get dispersed, right? So we get scattered. Let's choose a place where, if need be, we can all meet there. You know, and we can regroup and we can come and, you know, like re-strategize. We can come and plan, right? So somebody comes to Imam Ali and says that, this is my suggestion to you. This is part of a battle tactic to go and choose this place where we're all going to gather here. What does Imam Ali alayhi salam say? He says that, well, let's make it very simple here. You see the place that you last see me right before the battle starts? That's exactly where you're going to find me when the battle ends. I'm not one to be moving this way and that way and running from this place to that way to save my life. I'm not going to be running back from the battlefield. Wherever you see me, that's where I'm going to be. Because I don't have this type of thing. Right? I'm somebody, that's the courage that Imam Ali alayhi salam has. But the courage of Imam Ali alayhi salam is something that goes beyond the battlefield. And this is what, when you come to these gatherings, right? What are we trying to do? In the hadiths of the Imams, they tell us that study the fadail of Imam Ali alayhi salam. Study what it is that made Imam Ali alayhi salam able to reach that position and to be of that closeness to Rasulullah. And whatever you see there, you try to take and apply to your lives as well. Maybe many of us might not get the chance to be able to support the wali of the time in a military level. But courage is something which extends beyond that. Part of courage is being able to say what you have to say when you have to say it. You know the story when the Prophet had invited his family, وَأَنذِرْ عَشِيرَتَكَ الْمُقَرَّبِينَ. He gathered them all together, and then he asked them, he says, which one of you is going to be my successor and my helper? There is no one who stands up but this young man. Now, they say that at that time, Imam Ali was perhaps 10 or 12 years old. Imagine the courage of somebody to stand up when the entire clan is sitting down. All the uncles, all the cousins, all the people who might come and say things afterwards, they're watching him and he's standing up alone 3 times. 3 times the Prophet says to him, please sit down. And he asks the same question. But nobody else stands except for Imam Ali alayhi salam. And then he says, Inna hadha akhi. This is my brother, wa wasiyi, and my successor, wa khalifati fikum. He's the Khalifa. فَاسْمِعُوا لَهُ وَأَطِيعُوا. Listen to him and obey him. This is courage. The courage to be able to speak the truth, even though the majority are against it. Imam Ali demonstrated this time and time again. I'll give you another incident that it happened during the Khilafah of Imam Ali. Imam Ali was somebody who ruled according to the principles of justice. Even if expediency meant that he should do something to the contrary, he always went for what was the right thing to do. There was one time where there was people who came to him and they said that, Muawiyah has so many supporters. Your troops are diminishing. Why don't you do something to gain some supporters? All you got, very simple. All you got to do is sort of relax the rules a bit. Just make a different plan for distributing the treasury. This public treasury, right? Those people who you need on your side, give them some more. And then you'll see that you'll get some good supporters. Imam Ali responds, right? He says that you're asking me to do something which is completely unacceptable. He says, I swear that as long as this world exists, as long as the stars keep on moving the way they do in the skies, I will never consider accepting your request. I will always do things. If it was my own money, I wouldn't want to distribute it anywhere except for what's fair, let alone the money which belongs to the public treasury. And this is the way he stood up for what's right. When it came to disciplining, there was one poet, his name was Najashi. Najashi, one day, it was the month of Ramadan, and his friend tells him that, there's some lamb that's cooking. He starts describing it. It's like, it smells like this, has this flavor to it, right? And he says, what are you saying, right? It's month of Ramadan. And he says, well, I'm just telling you about this lamb that's cooking right here, And he keeps on describing it, right? After a while, Najashi says, okay, tell me some more, And then he goes on to describe. He's like, okay, well, what can we drink with it? And he describes what we can drink with it as well. And finally, what happens is they have a bit of party. It's a daytime in the month of Ramadan, na'udhu billah. Right? And eventually, word gets to Imam Ali alayhi salam. And when Imam Ali salam, this Najashi was somebody who was one of his forces against Muawiyah. Right? His ability to do poetry was such that the enemies would sometimes leave the battlefield because of the sharpness of his tongue. He was a warrior. People fought in different ways. But when he heard what he had done, not only did he give him the necessary punishment, he gave him extra punishment as well too. So he says to him, what was this about? Why the extra? He says, well, it's the month of Ramadan. You broke the hurma of the month of Ramadan. Najashi eventually runs away to Muawiyah, and he joins the enemies. And not only that, Imam Ali faces criticism. Right? They come to him, they say that, how could you do this? This person was one of your closest ones. How can you treat us the same? I mean, he was, he had done all this and this. So Imam Ali says, وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. Right? The Quran tells us that about salah, the obedience of God, for those people who do not have the type of khushu in their heart, the humbleness towards Allah, worshipping Allah can be difficult for them. But for those who have that khushu, they always sense the presence of Allah. And for them, it becomes easy to have that courage to do what's right, even if everyone else is opposing it. This is the example that we have from Imam Ali alayhi salam. Please recite salawat. Imam Ali alayhi salam famously said, he says, وَالَّذِي نَفْسُ ibn Abi Talib fi yadihi. I swear by the one who the soul of Ali ibn Abi Talib is in his hand, meaning Allah. He says, لَأَلْفُ ضَرْبَةٍ بِالسَّيْفِ أَهْوَنُ عَلَيَّ مِنْ مِيتَةٍ عَلَى الْفِرَاشِ فِي غَيْرِ طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ. He says that for me to be struck by a sword 1,000 times and to die that way is easier for me than to die on a bed, meaning to die a natural death, in a state where I'm not in complete obedience to Allah. And this is the last point I want to make about shaja'ah and courage, because that's what the whole point is, that what is it that we can be inspired of? This is just one drop from the ocean of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says that that's how important it is to me, that in every aspect I should be in a state where I'm worshipping Allah. There's nothing about Imam Ali Islam's life that anybody can find that they would criticize. And they would say that he did something other than what Allah wanted from him. Even Najashi, the poet that I just mentioned, they say that when he went to Muawiyah, right, Muawiyah starts to try to kind of insult Imam Ali alayhi salam and say that, okay, well, you came now to the people who are right, the people who are good. And he says that no. He says that I came to you, but what I did is I ran away from the person of justice to the person of injustice. That's the reality of it. Imam Ali alayhi salam was somebody who always lived this motto, the motto of ta'atullah, of living in the state of worship of Allah. And if somebody wonders, well, how is it that somebody can have that courage of the heart? How they can have that strength of the heart? Then this is the way that Imam Ali alayhi salam showed us. This is a night where, alhamdulillah, we had a chance to remember Amirul Mu'mineen alayhi salam. We had such wonderful poetry from the brothers, and may Allah Ta'ala reward you all. One of the things we asked for is to be among that. We stated that we're the Shia of Imam Ali alayhi salam, and that is a very great claim, as we're told by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. Inshallah, we can say we're the lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam, but taking that next step to be counted among his Shia is something that we can inshallah strive for and hope for, that we are accepted as the Shias of Imam Ali alayhi salam. May Allah Ta'ala bless you all. May Allah Ta'ala grant you all your du'as by the sake of Imam Ali. May Allah hasten the reappearance of the Imam of our time. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammad wa alihi at-tahirin. السلام عليك يا رسول الله، السلام عليك يا علي بن أبي طالب، السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين، السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى، السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذرية الحسين ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان، عجل الله تعالى فرجك وجعلنا من أعوانك وأنصارك ورحمة الله وبركاته.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على